Welcome to another episode of Unscripted Coding. Today we're going to be talking about OpenAI's speech-to-text feature. It is something I've ignored so far, but I came across this remarkable website called Revoldiv. The name's probably wrong. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but you can try it out at revoldiv.com. The idea is it transcribes audio files and video files into text, and it does an amazing job of it. It's very much geared for podcasts, so you can find your favorite episode and enter it through, but we're just going to look at a sample here, which is from NPR News. Basically, what happens after you upload and wait a couple seconds, maybe a few minutes, is that it's going to come out with this gigantic transcript that you can copy and paste. And what's great about this particular version of Revoldiv is that you can copy timestamps. This isn't possible in OpenAI, but I've seen other tools that take this transcription and they're going to summarize it, they're going to split it into pieces, they're going to turn it into bullet points or actionable items, all through OpenAI. And you can imagine this just goes straight through with either chat completion or text completion, where you would throw this giant long document in, and you're going to ask chat-gpt to summarize it or make bullet points or give me the main idea, blah, 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 blah. There are others that do this already. You throw in a podcast title, you get transcription, and you're going to get summaries, you're going to get pieces butchered out or filtered or so on. Lots of really cool stuff, and I haven't tapped into any of that yet. I haven't explored it because I don't know how transcriptions work. And from what I can see, this is a really great set. And when I was playing around with Revoldiv, I did find that their transcriptions were very, very accurate. After digging around a little bit, they pair up Whisper API, which is OpenAI's speech-to-text platform, and they have their own model to try and figure out the timestamps. We're not going to get into that, but I did want to see how I can build it myself, how I can tap into OpenAI's speech-to-text, turn it into a transcript. That's step one. And then you can start doing other things, asking things, summarizing. And we've, of course, talked a bit about those other pieces. It's all about building those, figuring out those separate pieces, seeing which ones or whether they all work really well, and then putting it together. So, without further ado, I have taken a look at this. The couple things that really stuck out at me on my first read-through is that, number one, there is a 25 megabyte limit. This means that if you are putting video through, MP4 is supported. If you put video in, you're going to have a very short video. So you're going to need to split these up. OpenAI has suggested already using PyDub if you want to split MP3s. That is a possible way of doing it. The other thing that stuck out at me is, of course, pricing, which I don't see it here. It is 0.6 cents a minute. And you might think that's fairly low, but once you get a half hour long, any audio is probably going to be 15 minutes long at least if you're looking to generate text. We're not talking about music. If it's a talk, if it's a lecture, if it's a podcast, you're going to go 15 minutes to an hour, and you're going to get anywhere from, 5 to 10 cents to maybe like 30, 40 cents. And this might sound like not a lot if I'm doing it personally, but for a site like Revoldiv, every time they run one of these, it could be costing them a quarter, and that adds up very, very, very quickly. So it is pricey, quite pricey if you want to scale up. And you do have to do a bit of back-end handling. So if you want to take a wide variety of formats, you're going to find some way to support that. So, for example, if I build a Python script and I want to accept MKV files, I'm going to need some other library to convert it first. But the ones that they accept are pretty good to begin with. So let's see how this works. For now, I have found and split apart a audiobook, Poems by Slave. I got this off LibriVox, and it's all public domain. Poems by Slave. Let me just find that so I can properly credit George Moses Horton. So that's where it's coming from. Oh, and they split it up as well. So that's very helpful. None of these are going to breach our 25 megabytes. So I'm trying to ignore as much of that as possible. What I'm trying to do is take this and see whether it works. So let me get over here. Import OpenAI. You're going to need to set up a Python environment, pip install OpenAI. And here I have my OpenAI key just to make sure that we have all the missing pieces. What I find troubling is, don't we need the OpenAI key somewhere here, or is it not at all protected? That's very strange. Translate. All right, well, I find it very surprising to see that this might just be a 4-line solution. So let's see if we can run this here. The file I have, oops, it's right here in the right path. And we're going to save and run. Don't even care about that, so let's stop and run this one more time. Aha, okay. So we do need to set the key here. They have given us a very minimal piece. So they didn't give us the full script required. And I just want to make sure this is the right one. Okay. Relative import. I do have it in the right place. Let's just try here. Scripts. Import. I don't think I've changed a thing. Wonder. So once in a while these imports don't work properly. This looks like it's running better. Sometimes you need the period, sometimes you don't. I'm sure there's a really good reason for that, but I don't have one. You can see that's taking a bit of time. And I should be printing the transcript, or else it just runs without me knowing what happened. Okay, here we go. So all we're getting as a response is a text, and it says, explanation and preface of poems by a slave. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. So, couple things I immediately notice is, number one, they have proper grammar, or proper punctuation. This was not always the case. If you think back 3-4 years ago when you had your phone and you use a voice keyboard, they didn't have periods, commas, they didn't have paragraphing. I don't see paragraphs here, but at least they have proper punctuation. The other thing that strikes me as odd is that they fully capitalize poems by a slave. They know that it's a title. And so I imagine they must be running it through to clean this up somehow. So the AI is transcribing it, figuring out all the words, and then it's probably running it through a separate channel to then say, can you fix this up? Can you make it, good grammar, not good grammar, but make it good punctuation, good capitalization, good format overall. Is his earnest and only wish to become a member of that colony, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's pick, another segment. I see that 15 is kind of long. The other feature that I wanted to see very quickly is this one right here, translate. And what I don't understand is where the translation, where we select this. So if we zoom in here so you can read, we have the audio file again. We're going to get a transcript, and what's going to happen is we're asking it to translate. And so I see that is not helpful to us. So my first thought is you have all of these possible languages to translate. And I thought originally that you might be able to accept English speech, get, say, Japanese text back. But it turns out, I didn't read it all the way through, that all it can do is take all of these other languaged audios, so something from, say, a Japanese audiobook, and then it's going to turn it into English. So everything into an English text, which makes sense. OpenAI, English-based, it's trained heavily on English, hard to go other way. So again, I think they're doing multiple steps. They're probably transcribing the audio, cleaning up the transcript, and then running a translation after the fact. But it's rare I get to say this, but we're done well ahead of time. I just rambled on about how cool Revoldiv is, but really we just had a nine line, actually just 6 actual lines of code to get this working. I'm going to transcribe one more time, just a different set, and to look at the time. But again, this is really exciting because you start to get different pieces and you start to realize what you can do. All these people doing podcasts, that's easy because podcasts are in a standard format, and a lot of people listen to them. I was originally thinking, what if I can transcribe what I hear in class, for example? I don't do that anymore. I'm not a student anymore, but it used to be. I sometimes listened and recorded lectures, and it would be awesome if I could just transcribe it, summarize it. And even today, you have a lot of online courses, you have a lot of classes are done over the internet. You might be able to just download the video, split it up, get the transcript, and if you're a reader, just having the transcript is so much easier than listening to your professor talk and drone on and on, but you can also ask it to summarize it, to ask questions, engage with the text. And those are all things you can build, and you can almost build it all entirely with OpenAI's APIs. You have no clue how it works, all AI, but I don't think this ran. Let's run it right here. But it's a whole new world, and I hope everyone here is as excited about AI as I am. Okay, so over here. On death, deceitful worm that undermines the clay, which slyly steals the thoughtless soul away, pervading neighborhoods with sad surprise, like sudden storms of wind and thunder's rise. I think that looks pretty good. I have no clue if that's accurate, but we can probably do a comparison as well. You pull the actual audio, the actual ebook out, compare the transcript, evaluate just how accurate it is. Anyways, I'm gonna call it a day. This turned out very smooth. So I thank you all for watching, and I will see you again for our next project.